Hey guys, uh, it's your boy M.K.S here back in another video. Sorry, I was trying to wait for both Facebook and YouTube to go live at the same time. As I said recently, I record on both, I suppose for two reasons. One is because I want to make sure I have a copy, so if something goes wrong with Facebook or YouTube, hopefully it won't be both of them at the same time, all being well. And the second reason is because, I've got more chance to have a copy somewhere. And the second, obviously, is more platforms I put my ideas out there on. Hopefully, the more likely I am to make something out of them, ideally. Unfortunately, I did have my tech issues, which I've discussed recently, but with either Facebook or YouTube, respectively, for some reason they all seemed to come at the same time, but or both of them. I would love to interview my fellow neurodiverse people, and on the like I did with Alicia, or she interviewed me and I interviewed her as well, and network with my fellow neurodiverse people. And on the subject of neurodiversity, I was thinking about the title for this, and I think in hindsight, when I went for my walk, I thought, oh, I should have put something to do with neurodiversity, like what neurodiverse people could contribute to Italian football, or something like that. So I think I should have done that, but coulda, shoulda, woulda. But anyway, all being well, God willing, Godspeed, and touch wood, or whatever term you want to use, these videos will record as well as possible, preferably both on Facebook and YouTube. But, anywho, welcome to part 2 of whatever this is, my plans and vision and whatever for Italian football. Now, I read one of my friend's profile. He's from India, but he's a fan of Italian football as well. But yeah, I'm half Indian myself, but it's all part Indian or whatever. But he was saying that my mate Ratul was saying that probably doesn't mind me mentioning his name. I'll say his first name just in case. But he was saying that olive oil in my ears, clean my ears. Sorry, apparently not supposed to put cotton buds in. I used to do that, but yeah, sorry. Getting back to the point, he was saying that he typed up on Facebook that Norway, if they get through, they're through to the World Cup, and we, as in Italy, will have to play a playoff for the third time. Hopefully, though, it'll be third time lucky, and we will make it and make a miracle and go on and win the World Cup 20 years after the last time. And obviously, there's nothing we can do about Norway's game. I'm 99.9% sure, or at least 9% sure, 90% sure. I'd say 99% sure that they will win. They're on a roll, and fair play to Norway. I guess they deserve it. They've been playing well, I imagine, even though I haven't been watching the games, or maybe we just haven't been that good, struggling to beat teams like Israel, with all due respect, Moldova and Israel and teams like that. Is way down from the levels I think Italy should be, but hopefully we can make a miracle and get to the World Cup and hopefully go on and win it and shock everyone, including ourselves and everyone else. So hopefully it'll be third time lucky, and hopefully we'll get through a playoff and get to the final. One thing I remember, actually, I'll probably say this again in point number 21, spoiler alert, but if I remember, funny enough, 21 again, I should remember. But I often think it's ironic when I forget point number 21. I could say that point number 4 because I forget things. But anyway, so I've gone from point to point. I've lost my train of thought again. So I remember when I think it was the first World Cup where I really started supporting Italy in '98. I was doing my GCSEs in that year as well. So it was a big year for me, and I really was very upset with my grades as well. Nowadays, I don't really care much about grades, but back then I thought they were really the be and end all. That's a story from the time. But yeah, I was really disappointed with my GCSEs, but also with Italy. Unfortunately, well, I laugh now, but it was sad. But I was hoping that Italy would make that miracle, and I believed in all these superstitions, like Italy played France and Cameroon along the way, and we won the World Cup when we did that before. So I thought we were going to win it and all this sort of stuff. But as a kid, I thought just because I support Italy, we should win on it. It's very immature, of course. I still am. But anyway, I remember we played Russia in a playoff in the snow, and I was very confident. But our goalkeeper got injured, and that was the first time I saw, as we call him, Gianluca Buffon, Gigi for short, Gigi Buffon, who came on in the snow in Russia and made a great save straight away. And that was the first time. I think it was about 19, might have been 17 or 19, I can't remember. And he was already a great goalkeeper, so that was the making of. Well, no, that was the making of Buffon, but that was when he first burst onto the scene when he had to come on for our goalkeeper who got injured. When I think it was Kanchelskis or whatever, a really quick player, but he slid in and injured our goalkeeper. I don't know if he did it on purpose or not, but he seemed to be apologetic. That was probably hindsight then. And that was in the snow in Russia. And suddenly I thought, oh, what if I've been too complacent? What if we do get knocked out here? But we failed in the last two playoffs, but I hope, just like when we beat Russia in those two-legged playoffs, hopefully we'll do it this time. I hope. So, and then go on to win it, even have to go for a playoff. I'd be shocked, I would say, if Norway blow it now. So I imagine they'll go through, and again, fair play to Norway. They've been very good. I know they thrashed us, but it would be good if, when we play them, I think in our last game or whatever for the qualifiers, hopefully we'll get a good result and get the confidence, and whoever we play in the playoff, hopefully we'll beat them, and then go on and shock everyone, and go all the way. That's 20 years after the last time, and hopefully being the third time lucky after failing twice. But anyway, onto the list. Sorry, while in that intro, but these are pointers number 11 to 20. So here goes. So number 11, I'd love to change Italian football so Italian football becomes more attacking. I know Italian football has pretty much always been defensive, or certainly for a long time, probably since its beginning. Maybe I don't know, but I'd love for it to become more attacking. Obviously, defense is important, but I'd love to see more attack as well. I thought of a competition I'd love to make. I'm not going to go into too much in detail into that right now, but thanks a lot, by the way, whoever liked the video. I really appreciate that on Facebook. Please check out my YouTube and on Facebook, respectively, if you'd be so kind to share the video and like and all that. I think I really appreciate that. And get involved in the comments as well. In part one, I focused on my YouTube profile, but this time I'm doing it on Facebook. So sorry for anyone watching on YouTube if I don't respond to any comments or whatever in live, whatever. But in part three, I'll do it in the opposite order like I did before. But anyway, sorry. Getting to a point we're trying to. So I'd love to see what Italian football could do to change. I think that goes along with point number 2, which is about learning. I think like 1, getting things started, 2, making things better, improving, constantly improving, making things as good as possible, and then improving. I talked about what I'd love for Italian football to learn from Spain, France, Brazil, Argentina, Germany, and other nations. I often think, why can't we play like Spain? Because that's another Mediterranean team, Mediterranean nation with a similar culture and background, whatever. Or France, which is another Mediterranean nation. But Italy probably has more in common with Spain, I guess. But I talked about how France, another Mediterranean nation, has benefited from migration, at least in football wise. So I don't want to say use, but utilise, shall we say? It sounds a lot better. The migrants, but hopefully towards a mutual benefit. That's what utilise makes me think of, rather than use, which makes me think that you use the other person more people. I'd love to see what Italian football can do to become more attacking. I often wonder what managers like Pep Guardiola, Ange Postecoglou, and other attacking managers could do in Italian football, and if we could change the culture. It's difficult to change, and I suppose in '82 when Italy went attacking the year I was born, I think it went more attacking and tried to change, if I'm not mistaken. People say, I've heard it at least once or twice said that it became more attacking. We went on to win it, and I think the most attacking teams normally are most successful. But the problem is, what I was going to say is we divert back to the old ways. So I hope it can become more attacking. And with the spaces and places for sport, in this case soccer, places for spaces for playing and practicing, whichever way you want to put it, whichever way you want to put it. Basically, academies, centres of excellence, and things like that, where people get to play football and get coaching and learn from each other. And older people can teach younger people and do what's best for the footballing side of the nation, at least for the country, in terms of football, at least, to put in back glory days. Hopefully we can develop, so we as a fan of Italian football can develop a great ambience, which is a big word for me, but a great team spirit, and also great players, like from the goalkeepers to defenders to midfielders and to strikers, but try and get the ball quicker going forward, and trying to move it going forward and learn from other nations, but at the same time keep a strong defence. An Indian guy once said to me, or a guy of Indian descent, growing up in Leicestershire, he said, I used to play at Victoria Park in Leicestershire, he said that he supported Germany because he loves the way they won the '90 World Cup. Funny and sad enough in Italy, they support our party, but we did it in their ground, so that's cool. But he said they had a good team in all areas, like good goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, strikers, and all that kind of thing in each part of the pitch, rather than like just Brazil, which is quite attacking. Italy's quite defensive and whatnot. But I'd love to develop through all the different areas of the pitch and see what Italian football could do just to continue to improve and make things better. And never think they're perfect. They always need to be a bit better. No such thing as perfect, just always make things better, in my opinion. But yeah, I think I've covered that point in enough detail. But yeah, basically changes what could be done to improve. And I think becoming more attacking, playing more skillful, developing players like the next Messi, Ronaldo, the two Ronnies, as I say, the Brazilian and Portuguese version, Zizou, Zidane, Zizou, right, aka Zidane, Pele, Maradona, and players like that being developed in Italy. And midfielders and strikers being given the freedom to dribble and to take on players and that kind of thing. But I could go on all day, but I'm going to move on to number 12. I'd love to travel to Italy. I was going to say I'm point number 11, but I'll say that now. I'd love to travel to Italy with my fellow neurodiverse people with mental health problems, Anglo-Indians, Eurasians, Anglo-Indians and other Eurasians and other groups. So I hope to achieve that as one of my life's missions and goals. That's on my bucket list. And I'd only want to go to Italy for the coaching, for like football coaching, and sharing my ideas and strategies, and other neurodiverse people talking about what we can do for Italian football. Again, what neurodiverse people can contribute to Italian football. Whether that's on the pitch and helping them to practice and having miniature World Cups for like neurodiverse people, even people with mental health problems, and Anglo-Indians and other Eurasians, and that kind of thing. But also out-of-the-box ideas on like how they can work with FIFA and UEFA, how they can attract investment and things like that, and hopefully encouraging my fellow neurodiverse people to invest into, sponsor, and even donate to Italian footy and to build those places and spaces for playing and practicing. But just like I said with number 11, I think of like change, and I think like walking together, working together, training, practicing, trying to walk more rather than getting in cars, improving diets and things like that. With number 12, I think of like some of the foundations that Italy already does have, like the good defence, could still be kept. So I don't think it has to be that we sacrifice good defence for good attack. Like it could be the defenders stay back, and the midfielders and strikers are given the freedom from the defence to stay back, and giving a bit away here, because I do try and keep my strategies a bit secret if I can. Maybe I talk a bit too much, obviously, but I think like the defenders, as they could give the freedom to the midfielders and the strikers, but for instance, the defenders could just stay in their own half. So that means you only have half the pitch to run in. So you're working together as a team. Somebody might say if the strikers come back, it's more of a team sort of thing. But I think it doesn't mean you don't play as a team and you play as individuals. It might seem a bit selfish for the defenders to stay back and the strikers to not come back and defend. But the defenders could say to them, like, we're giving you the freedom, we're going to do everything we can to prevent goals being leaked. Defensively, we're going to try and keep a clean sheet, obviously keep a clean sheet if we can, or whatever, or we'll go out and score more. It's like Brazil, Argentina, and teams like that. But at the same time, we're going to try and keep it tight at the back. I'm going to keep a top secret idea, which I thought about. If you want me to reveal it, let me know, and please, and I'll say it in part 3 or 4. But there's a top secret idea I have that I'm not going to share just now. But on that note, moving on, number 13. As I say, my love for Italian football is quite a selfish one. As I said in part 1, I think I have 3 or 4 selfish sort of things. I don't know if I should say this, but lust is one of them. Greed, impatience, you could say. People say patience is a virtue. I like to say impatience is a virtue. I get bored very easily and things like that. And I want things done right now. But I suppose I need to be more impatient with the actions and patient with the results. But I'd love to travel to Italy right now if I could. I'm itching to go. In fact, if I could travel there, instead of making videos like this, I'd probably be busy like coaching and things like that, getting involved in like, I was going to say mentorship, but encouraging like ideas about mentorship and teaching, training, coaching, like that, going hand in glove. Yeah, I hope I can help Italian football to get back to the top at club and country level, and bringing back the best glory days, and even better than we were in the past. I think in the 90s it was the glory days of Italian club teams, but Italy never did win the World Cup, so it was or even do well in the Euros. But other times it was the glory in like the national teams, but maybe club teams didn't do so well. So I love for both to do well, and like teams like Juventus to learn from their mistakes and try to tackle corruption and things like that. And again, I was brought into football from a selfish point of view. I suppose that's the fourth selfish thing, or whatever, or fourth, not virtue, opposite of virtue, fourth sin, if you like, perhaps. I guess, because I support them just because I think I look Italian, and I supported them when I was young. So that's sort of a teenage dream I've had for like 30 odd years or something, almost 30 years or whatever, give or take. But yeah, so it's probably about 30 years now, 30 long years I've been a fan of Italian football. And I remember the glory days of, I suppose, especially AC Milan, but I'm not wearing the Inter Milan cap. Number 14, so I hope the club and country can find solutions like how to tackle corruption, how to improve, how to learn of other teams, like what have other club teams and national teams done well, what could Italian football implement and do to change and improve and not be stuck in its ways. And on the subject of caps, I said hats, but caps, if you like, my brother got me this from Milan and this actually, even though they're rival teams, a normal person probably wouldn't wear the rival teams. But I'd love to know which one you think is the best. I like this one, I like the colours for some reason, but I'd love to know whether you think this Inter Milan one, AC Milan one, and stroke or this M.K.S cap, which I think one of my sisters got me, and stroke or this Portugal cap. I don't know who got me this, but I'd love to know which one you think is best. I assume people from Portugal, or those who love Portugal, prefer this one. But yeah, I suppose these are similar colours to the Portugal one. And then there's people who support AC Milan or Inter Milan respectively will probably prefer those. But yeah, I'd love to know which one you think, like which colours do you prefer, or which one do you think look better. Interesting. But yeah, how can Italian football solve the problems? And I think learning from others, from other teams and other nations. And sometimes I say from a less selfish point of view, I'd love to see what Italian football can do, making up for my guilty pleasure, if you like, of being an Italian football fan, being selfish in that regard, for selfish reasons, basically. I think of like what Italian football could do to solve problems like climate change, global warming, illnesses, diseases, poverty, and all these sort of problems facing the world. But today I'm trying to think more of from a little bit more of a selfish point of view, or a lot more selfish point of view, because it's the 13th. But yeah, moving on, number 15, I'd love for Italy to unite, and even unite with the diaspora, which I hope to cover more in parts 3 and 4. I've got to admit, I don't want to be too excitable, because I don't want to be, it can lead to expectations, but I'm looking forward to doing part 4, especially. But anyway, I hope you look out for that. And part 3 as well, but especially part 4. I'm really looking forward to that one. But yeah, I hope don't jinx it though, because I normally look at like what I hope to achieve in the future. I don't want to get too much away from that one. But yeah, I dream for times to practice and I was going to say play football as much as possible. Dyslexia. On a serious note, verbal dyslexia there. But or some might say I've got verbal diarrhea or whatever they say. Sorry for that. But yeah, I love 40 times to play and practice football, just like I said in point number 5 and point number 9. And I hope that I can put together teams that help me to travel. I talk about this idea I call one tour for one share, and with my writing I say line for line and like for like as well. But in this case, let's say if a mosque or a church or any other religious group or business or political party or whatever it might be wanted me to share information on their behalf to promote their ideas or their plans or whatever, if they supported me to have a group, to put together a group of neurodiverse people to travel and try and return the favour in the fairest way possible, even though I can be a bit selfish sometimes. Can't we all, as I say? But yeah, I love 40 times to play as much football as possible and to continue to improve and again learn from other nations and say like what could we implement that Brazil does, and maybe even look at like what their weaknesses are and say like how can we exploit those weaknesses, but also how can we avoid doing them ourselves. So like just being too attacking without defending, something like that, or being too complacent or whatever it might be. What are some Argentinian weaknesses and what are their strengths, again how to exploit those weaknesses, how to avoid their strengths where they're weak on the left. I'm giving it our way here, but go on the left instead of the right. If they're too strong on the right, try and keep on the left or whatever, and maybe try and develop so we're not weak on either our right or our left or defence or attack or whatever. So we make it very difficult as possible for teams to attack, but also to defend against as well. Times of practice and play and things like that. And moving on that note to number 16, I'd love for there to be think tanks which get like current players even, and certainly former players and everyone possible in Italy to talk about what are the best ways to improve Italian football. And I love for even like rival teams and people from rival teams to meet up at least once a day, possibly to discuss it on my favourite place like Zoom. I talk about Zoom a lot, but I never get around to talking there, or certainly not enough. But to talk on Zoom or wherever it might be, have top secret meetings and whatever. I'm giving a lot here, but to talk about like how to improve Italian football, and how they can go and try and win World Cups and just win things, especially World Cups, but also at club team level. How can they improve? And I'd love for Italians to meet up every day and say, well, how can we help Italy to win World Cups, even in the plural, certainly win one, and hopefully many more, and how can we continue to improve, hopefully get through a playoff all the way to the finals, like everyone, including ourselves, and continue to improve. And like, I suppose if things work, keep trying to do those things and look at what doesn't work and what does work. Maybe try different experiments. But even at time, businesses, councils, maybe even politicians, within the rules of the game and within international laws, saying things like, could we provide tax cuts? Could we encourage more investment into Italian? Could we encourage it in schools on the curriculum and in parks, and encourage parents to play and all sorts of things like that, and to play with their football with their children. Maybe for each hour you go online or play video games, you have to go and play football. Even teachers like saying, oh, you can go and play football. If you do an hour's homework, get a reward by playing football and things like that. So to keep people active. Improving diets is another one. That's point 11. But yeah, just generally looking at ways to improve Italian football. And I know there's different rival teams, but as many former and even current Italian players as possible, discussing like how can we improve it, and even discussing with school children and that kind of thing. I don't know how many people you can get together in a room or whatever, but there could be certain places they meet, and especially on Zoom and things like that, as many as possible, discussing like what the best ways to improve it and that kind of thing. Number 17. So yeah, my imaginations would be imagining like people meeting up and talking on Zoom and having their own conference rooms and things like that, where they discuss ways to improve the tempo and that kind of thing. And I'd love for us to win like a World Cup, or even 2 or 3 in a row, or even 4 in a row. That'd be amazing. But I've often thought that for quite a long time, but unfortunately it wasn't to happen. When Italy won in 2006, I thought it'd be cool if we won in 2010, and then we won in 2014, which is a bit of a harsh sort of dream, but I thought it'd be cool if it would be a bit of a story if we beat Brazil in their backyard and one overtook them in terms of World Cup victories. Sorry from Brazil, I didn't mean it like that, but it would have been interesting. It would be a bit harsh, but it would be pretty cool. All's fair and love and war, to say. I'm sure they'd want to do the same if the boot was on the other foot or whatever. But sometimes I say to make up for it, I'd love to support Brazil's economy, so make up for wanting Italy to overtake them football-wise. Again, sorry to any Brazilians who might stumble across this video or whatever, or that's a bit harsh to Brazil, but because I know they're really passionate about football, and you could argue that football's pretty much all they have in many ways. There's a lot of people there. But yeah, being a bit selfish again, I'd love to see Italian teams winning at club and country level, I'll say. And I do struggle to imagine it, but I'd love to imagine, I wonder if I can smile just imagining like Italian club teams winning more than La Liga teams and the Italian national team winning the most World Cups. So yes, I do struggle to imagine it, especially the rate where the position we're in at the moment and the quality at the moment. But hopefully it can turn around. Hopefully Gattuso, our manager, can use our manager as a supporter, but hopefully he can use his experience to help us to win things like he won in 2006 and that kind of thing. But yeah, I do worry about, like, he is a bit of a hot-headed guy, you know, argue with referees and stuff like that. So I hope he can use that passion in a more positive way, channel it towards that sort of winning, but not getting sent off or things like that, because that would be damaging the prospects, the opportunities. That's a big word for me. But yeah, so I do struggle to imagine it, but it would be cool to see and imagine like Italian teams, club and country level, winning and being as successful as possible, and implementing these ideas I talked about, and travelling to Italy and that kind of thing with these groups I wish to travel to Italy with, and discussing strategies to improve the Italian football tactics and that kind of thing, tic-tacs, as the scientists would say. But yeah, neurodiverse talent and showing what we could do to to town football. Number 18. On that note, I think I'd love to show a positive side to neurodiversity by things like showing what we can do to improve things like town football. I'm going to focus on the town football thing for today. I was going to go through all the lists, but I'm going to just focus on the town football for today. Number 19. Although I know I said it's mostly selfish stuff. Selfish or not so selfish. I'm sharing a bit too much info perhaps, but in terms of like the strategies and all that kind of thing, we should keep close to our chest so other nations can't implement them perhaps. But a bit late for that maybe. But I dream that we'll still be able to do the positive things like helping fundraise for like tech development for Africa and that kind of thing. Black people in tech and improving relations through football between Italians and the Black diaspora, for instance, and others. And number 20, hopefully young and old can practice together, and older people can. I know you have to think about child protection and safeguarding and that kind of thing, but I hope that older people will want what's best for younger people and bring the nation together through football, towns unite for football, so the older generations can lead by example, like improving their diets, not smoking, drinking, taking drugs, breaking the law, or things like that. Ideally, I know I'm very much an idea this, as I said before, but also that they'll get into coaching and train the youth. And I realised that I've spent about 3 times longer than planned on this video as per usual. So I know I am out, and peace and love.